Many YouTubers have done Pokemon map randomizers, so I decided to try it as well, but also give my own spin to it. Using Point Crow's map randomizer, Celeste and I raced to beat all 8 gyms and the Pokemon League on a random map of Pokemon Platinum, but in reverse order. This was chaos. I hope you enjoy. The start of the game wasn't randomized, so it doesn't immediately break, but the first randomized loading zone was already an Elite 4 member. Despite that craziness, there weren't any loading zones required to get to Jubilife City, and the first building I entered gave me access to a dozen more options in the Valor Resort. From here I could go and buy quick balls, which I used to catch a Floatzel on an adjacent route, because if we wanted to beat Cynthia first, I needed some strong Pokemon and fast. And boy oh boy, strong Pokemon I got. Not just one legendary, but both the Dialga and Palkia in one spot. Celeste was moving fast, but at least I had 2 legendaries and she had no idea what Never mind. I tried to quickly catch up with exploring the region, but then I accidentally loaded an old save state and had to catch Palkia and Dialga again, wasting 15 minutes. Well, could be worse. I discovered some more important places, but every time it was something Celeste had already found earlier, so I was just constantly behind. My one advantage was that at least she hadn't found any legendaries yet. Okay, not just that, she also made her way into Cyrus's office, so after a quick Palkia sweep, she had the Master Ball, and not long after that she also found Arceus and obviously caught it. This was gonna be rough. Still, I stayed optimistic and did anything I could to improve my chances, which wasn't much, but one thing was catching an Abra with teleport so I could escape from soft locks and maybe get to new areas. I also managed to find the Iceum, something Celeste had not found yet, and you see me hiding my beautiful face here? That's my one true advantage in this race. I am taking notes. They're crap and I was only writing down some gyms and Elite 4 members, but trust me, it was a lifesaver. I was still just following in Celeste's footsteps as shown by me getting the Master Ball and catching Arceus a bit later than her, which I thought wasn't gonna make that much of a difference as I already had 2 legendaries, but I definitely was wrong there. But it also confirmed that Celeste was still ahead exploring new places while I was just finding her previous discoveries. Now that we both were more than ready to take on any battle in the game, it mostly turned into a race of who could find Cynthia first. Funnily enough, the entrance to the Elite 4 rooms in the Pokemon League was the loading zone that led to the Champion Room, but unfortunately Celeste was the first one to find it, and just under 2 hours she was the first to complete an important battle. Luckily I managed to find Cynthia only 1 hour later. Did that mean I was way behind? Well, I skipped ahead an entire hour, so let's go back a bit and see what happened there. At one point I ran into Flint and Volkner at the battle frontier and decided to battle them with my rifle to mess with Celeste. We can't do any battles out of order, so to beat Flint in the Elite 4, I'd first have to beat Cynthia and Lucian. But this fight was totally fine, so when I kept telling Celeste I beat Flint, I wasn't cheating nor lying. Although I thought it was funny at the time, it kinda came back to bite me later. I was not the only one getting screwed over by Elite 4 members though. Since again, we can't do any battles out of order, when Celeste found the second entrance to Bertha's room, she couldn't just beat her right there and instead decided to load a previous save state, which accidentally was one from before beating Cynthia. And why would you remember how you can get to the champion room if you just clear it the first time you're there? This meant that Celeste would be struggling to find her way back, giving me a chance to catch up. From here it was a somewhat even race to Cynthia again, and even though Celeste got back there first, before she could even finish the fight, I also found the start of this boss rush. But do you notice a difference? For me, Cynthia had way higher levels because she was using her rematch team. I think this was because I did the post-game Flint and Volkner fight, but luckily I still managed to win first try. I had notes for all battles up till the 6th gym, but that didn't mean it was smooth sailing from here on out. Oh no. I knew what loading zones led to which important battle, but my awful memory had no recollection at all of how to get from city to city. Because of this, Celeste could keep her lead and beat both Lucian and Flint before I even managed to beat Lucian. However, after beating Flint there's only one exit, taking you to the Pel Park, which is a soft lock, and Celeste did not have a Pokemon with teleport, meaning she again had to load the previous save state and lose quite some progress, this time to before Lucian. Meanwhile, I lost to his Bronzong because, again, rematch levels, but I made a save state right before him and on the second try I defeated Lucian so I could really get the ball rolling. While Celeste had to catch an Abra and find her way back through Lucian and Flint, I caught up to her by beating Flint as well and got a small head start for finding Bertha. I managed to get back to her first, and though her Raperior was a pain to deal with, I eventually got past it, putting me in the lead for the first time in this race. At that point, Celeste had to take a quick dinner break, so I did the most reasonable thing, speedrunning getting a Dratini from Volter Flip in hard gold. It took about 17 minutes to get the 2100 points necessary to buy the Dratini, easily beating Max's time from a Volter Flip tournament, ignoring the fact that I was using speed up here and he wasn't. But anyways, Celeste returned right as I bought the Dratini, so let's get back to the race. I was already merely a stone's throw away from the Verity lakefront, the loading zone that would take me to Aeron, so finishing the Elite 4 wasn't difficult, and before I made any more progress I quickly did a battle against Jupiter via Sand Gem Town to get the bicycle, but then I had to find the 8th gym. My notes told me I could get there via the Hearthome Pokemart, but that meant needing to get to Hearthome first, and as I said, my memory is abysmal. While stumbling across the region, I found the 3rd gym by accident, one of the few gyms I was still missing, but still no depressed electric gym leader to be found. I also focused a bit on getting HMs like Surf and Rock Climb, since now that we're getting gym badges, we'll be able to use those in the near future, unlocking more loading zones to venture through. Including some of those side tracks, it took almost 1 full hour to finally find Volkner, obliterate him and get my first badge over 4 hours in. Celeste wasn't sitting still either, and it didn't take a long time before she beat both Bertha and Aeron as well. Luckily I wasn't the only one struggling with finding Volkner, and I did still beat him first, but Celeste managed to do the same thing only 5 minutes later. Not just that, she also obtained the Ice School badge after another 5 minutes, so I was lagging behind yet again. I quickly caught up by beating Candace, and now that Celeste's lack of notes made it so she didn't remember the way to Byron, this was the opportunity for me to get ahead. With my notes I found the quite complicated way back to the 6th gym, easily swept with Palkia, and only 5 gyms remained. One problem, the next gym leader, Crasher Wake, was the only one that neither of us had found yet, and between the two of us we'd explored most of what's available. There are 2 main things that could be locked behind. HMs, of which I have a decent few but not all of them because of badge restrictions, and the bike, which I had but Celeste didn't. This, combined with the fact that Celeste was still stumbling around trying to find Byron, meant that I had a decent lead, but finding Wake would still take who knows how long. 30 minutes later I was exploring a postgame area that required the bicycle, and lo and behold, there is the water gym. After another quick sweep I was able to use HM Surf, but that wasn't gonna help since all other gyms had already been found, but I could now also go and storm through the 4th gym. I just had to find my way there. I arrived at the 6-hour mark, and even though Celeste managed to find Byron within that time, she didn't have the bike, so Crasher Wake was out of her reach until she figured out how to get that first. I then got the Knuckle badge, which let me use the best HM for this race, Fly, giving me easy traveling between cities, the main part I was struggling with earlier on. The only real thing stopping me from just sweeping through the last 3 gyms was the 1st gym, which I still had not found somehow, which Celeste did ages ago, but at this point, over 6 hours in, we both just wanted someone to finish it, so Celeste decided to just tell me how to get there. Using Fly to get around quickly, I easily got the 3rd and 2nd badge, and then with Celeste's directions to an obscure house west of Pastoria, I got to the 1st and final gym. Don't be fooled though, this is the toughest fight of the race. Rourke first sent out his Geodude, and I wasn't sure if Arceus could outspeed it, but luckily it did. It might have been a speed tie, I'm not sure, but there was 1 down, 2 to go. The insanely tanky Onyx was up next, and Earthquake probably was gonna be a roll, but we got the high roll and got the Oko, very lucky there as well. Last up was his ace Cranidos with Mold Breaker, negating my ability to think, so the only thing I could do was spam A and hope it worked. And there we go, Rourke was down, I got the gold badge, and with that I beat Cynthia, the Elite 4, and all the gyms on a randomized map of Pokemon Platinum in reverse order. This was a really cool twist on the map randomizer concept in my opinion, and although that may have been different if we didn't get Palkia, Dialga and Arceus dead early on, I am down to maybe at some point do this again in a different game if you enjoyed this, or maybe with some other twist, like, I don't know, map randomizer bingo? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, be sure to like and subscribe and all the jazz, also check out Celeste of course. I hope you enjoyed the video, I'll see you next time, and of course, stay alive.